The original page and galley proofs of Kim by Rudyard Kipling. I'm Adam Douglas from Peter Harrington, and I'd like to show you this rather extraordinary survival, which is the proofs printed for Kipling of his best book, his best single novel, and these are from the library of his American publisher and friend, Frank Nelson Doubleday, who he called Effendi, or Effendi, from his initials. And there are two sets of proofs of this in existence. And one of them is now in the Houghton Library at Harvard, and that is lightly corrected compared to this set of galleys. It's in the same format. The first part of the book are in these single page proofs, much like the size of a printed book, the eventual printed book. And you can see here that the title originally was called Kim of the Rishti, but he's changed that and he struck out of the Rishti and decided just to call it Kim. And so these galley proofs, in comparison to the Harvard set, these are much more fully corrected. And the reason for that is that the proofs were all printed off, as you can see from the ink stamps, by Kipling's London publishers, Macmillan. They had them printed in Edinburgh by R&R Clark, the printers, and each of these sets of galleys is stamped with Clark's stamp, which you can see there in the lower outer corner, and Brandon Street, Edinburgh, their address. And these were printed in August 1900. But in fact, Kipling, who wanted to publish the book at that time, had to delay because he'd signed an agreement to have the book issued serialized in the periodical McClure's in America and by Cassell's magazine in England. And so he had to wait till that publication was completed. Now, the first book form publication was the American edition, based on those lightly corrected Harvard proofs. But Kipling wasn't finished. He had more corrections to make. And so he had another set of proofs that he'd retained, and he marked these up. And you can see that they are really thoroughly marked by him on every page. They're marked Doubleday in the top left-hand corner of the galleys with this little trigram that shows that they were intended for Doubleday. And these corrections are all the corrections that appear in the first English edition, the Macmillan London edition, and also at virtually the same time the second American edition. So clearly the first American edition in book form had been published a little too early for Kipling's taste. And one galley that shows that is this galley, which is a duplicate galley of the first of the long galleys. And we see here proof wired for yesterday at the head in blue pencil, and that's undoubtedly the Americans calling for another set of proofs which Kipling has prepared and sent over, and this galley here has his final corrections. The big changes from the magazine publication are that Kipling includes new chapter headings for the books, for each of the chapters, and these are all written out in full here at the head of each chapter. Now, in the first book publication, only two chapters have verse headings like this, but this proof shows him putting verses to the head of each chapter. So there's a very unusual survival. It's the final form of his greatest novel as he wanted it published, and it's a quite remarkable piece and shows the way that he worked, the way that he retained different sets of galleys and worked on them, gradually accreting material for his great novel. And any material like this, of any novel, any major novel of this period, is rare in commerce, and this is no exception. So there are full details of this, and there's quite a few details to go through, more than I can do here, but there are full details on our website where you'll find details of all our books.